Welcome again to another video of this F3A Basics series. In the first one we talk about what I check to see if my airplane is well set up, the mixes I use, and what are the most important things for me to just confirm that my airplane is flying well. In the second one I showed you how I more or less define my dual rates and expos, and what are the tips, tricks that I normally use to set up these parameters in my radio. And in this one I think that we could talk about now more like specific on F3A flight. I could explain you what is the F3A, but I guess that if you are here you more or less know that what we are trying to do is in an imaginary window draw some maneuvers. There is a sequence of maneuvers that we need to draw at a certain distance with a certain geometry. And one of the most important things for me to start with is from the position where we are going to fly, and what will be this imaginary window that it will be like our paper to draw all these maneuvers, no? So maybe you can start doing maneuvers like somewhere here, somewhere there, but I think that one of the most difficult things, and one of the things that you have to practice more, is the position of your maneuvers. So I would say come with me in this like first flight. Since now I've been like playing around in this airfield, but for the first time I will try to set up my window, and I will show you how normally I do it. Normally in the competitions I just go straight to a P, and yeah, I try to figure out while I'm doing the maneuvers, but I want to go more basic and show you how I would do it. This is my personal like training field, and yeah, that's how I do it. And if you can take from here some tips or ideas, yeah, we'll be happy as always. So first of all, this airfield is fantastic. We have these power lines that are also giving us a little bit like distance, altitude. That's also awesome. I don't have a particular reference for the center and the left. I highly recommend you to have like a 3-blade props, so you have the 60 angles and the center. That's a very good way to measure it. And in the other car I have it, but not in this one. So my father has all the 3-blade props we have, and I cannot do it here. But just to have a reference, what I'm going to do first is just do this inverted half Cuban turns, okay, and define my base of the window. Later I will draw the complete window, but yeah, it will be easier if we see it practical example. With the GoPro it will be very difficult, and at the end what you will see is more a dot than my airplane, but I will do it a little bit closer so you can have an idea of what I normally do. So let's go. Today we have crosswind from the back, which makes it more difficult, but also more challenging, and yeah, more fun. So you will see that with the years you will find this correct position easier and easier, just because you have more hours with the airplane, more hours flying F3A, and you know more or less where you want to be. So first of all, let's see, that would be a correct altitude for me, and what you can start practicing is just doing these straight lines in the bottom part, and then in the extremes, going to the extreme of the window, perform these half Cuban 8s. Of course, with wind from the back you have to always try to correct and come a little bit towards us, and then again another line. This sounds stupid, sounds like, oh my god, this is super easy, just it goes straight, but it's not. Just try to do like 10 minutes this maneuver, and being all the time in the same position, that you see your airplane always the same. It's not easy at all, and it's a very good practice. It's a very, very good practice. Again, trying to keep the same altitude, trying to keep the same distance. For example, now I'm a little bit closer. because I was correcting too much the wind. So now I will let it go far from us because we have wind from the back. So it's a very good practice just to also understand how is the wind here. And again, I'm in position, same altitude. Of course, you can start adding some maneuvers. For example, just perform a roll in the center, one roll, but keep the altitude and keep the distance. It's not easy at all. Then I will not do like the half cubanate. I will just perform a stall turn, playing with the wind. Have to go up a little bit, tilt it to us, stall turn, and also tilt it towards us. Then going back to the same altitude, same distance, and correct if I'm farther or closer or all these things. Then in the center you can start performing some maneuvers. For example, let's do a simple loop, very small loop, but trying to keep the same distance all the time and going back to the main place. So don't start trying to do like rolling circles and all these things. Just as a starting point, be in the position, be in the window you want to fly at this 150 meters. If you have a partner, you have a friend, you have someone, you can send him to 150 meters with a walkie-talkie or something like this, or with your phone, and tell you if you are there. I'm quite sure that we are more or less now at 150 meters, but as I said, because I'm super used to see it. Then another thing you can do, we know now the bottom of the window. Let's draw the whole window, going up. This is something my father was always asking me to do in the competitions, just to prove that, you see, this is the window, here is where we want to fly. This is the top part of the window, we cannot go higher than that. I think that with the GoPro it will be impossible, but you have the idea now. We are drawing the complete window where we will perform all our maneuvers. And again, not only drawing the window, the important thing is that after that we are always in the same position where we started. And again, as I said, this is not easy at all. Form simple maneuvers, and again you can do like the half cubanate, and that's it. This is, again, maybe more basic than that. There's nothing, but it's very important, and you can ask many people to try to do it, and it's harder than it looks. Then practice for someone that is starting. Do the same, but just in inverted flight. All in inverted flight, just to feel more comfortable with your airplane flying in inverted. So the same half cubanate, but in inverted flight. So you will practice all these. With these maneuvers you can also start checking if your dual rails were well set up, especially to keep like straight lines. It's very important in F3A that you are comfortable flying completely straight in inverted or in normal flight, all these things. But just do everything in inverted flight, just to practice. You can draw the window, you can perform the maneuvers, but always trying to keep, during the 8 minutes of your battery, or 9 or 7 depending on the battery, just keep the altitude, keep the distance, and be flying around. Then you can start playing around and performing like more difficult maneuvers, like integrated loops and all these beautiful maneuvers, but always trying to maintain your distance. Beautiful. You will have more time now, and here I am again, same altitude, same distance, more or less. And start doing this. This is you don't need to start practicing directly the P schedules. You can just play with your airplane and train, and it's very difficult. Now, for example, rolls like 8-point rolls, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but always keeping the same distance. And of course, I forgot to start my timer, but you have the idea, right? That's something that you can practice, and I think that it's fundamental at all the levels, just to understand more or less the window you are performing all the maneuvers, to then you will have lot of time to complicate all the things, but this is something that I really think is important to start with. Even if you have a very like simple step, simple airplane, whatever, just try to keep the distance, to fly where you want, not just randomly and do a roll here, do a loop there. It's super challenging to try to do all these maneuvers in the, well, where you want. And yeah, that's basically it in terms of position. Practice it, because even if you are not doing crazy stuff, it's a great practice, and it will give you like the basics of your to keep improving. Well, that's basically it for today. It was a very long video, but I hope that you got the idea. Yeah, it's something that you can start practicing right now. And yeah, set all these windows, be sure that you are in the right position, and then start practicing the maneuvers of your scan. Okay, see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.